Welcome to Black Man Spy, the U.S.-Iran Warcast, the real Day 47. As you know, yesterday we had to do a Groundhog's Day on Day 46. Turns out one of my eagle-eyed followers had for several days been trying to correct that I was off by a day. And the problem was, I was not seeing those comments. The comments fly by down below me. But someone who was assisting me with the questions saw it the other day and said, "Hey, this person's been saying you're off by a day." So we did a count, and it was Day 46 again. So today is the real Day 47 of the U.S.-Iran war, or the 7th day since the beginning of the ceasefire. That's right, we are 1 week into the 2-week limit of the ceasefire. And we have some news on that front as well. But first, let me introduce you to my co-hosts, Jacob Kaarsbo, Danish intelligence officer, Middle East expert extraordinaire, and Wajeeh, the gay lion from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Well, let me rephrase that. From Saudi Arabia, now reporting to us from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He is our Gulf stage geopolitical analyst and expert in everything pattery and culture-y, although he is wearing an Afghan pahul right now. And I have you outgamed in the pahul market. I've got 3 or 4 of those things, man. But I'm in Canada now. As you can see, I'm using my Canada monitor, and I am not in my beautiful writing office, which I've noted many of you have asked me to give a tour of my writing office. When I get back to the United States, I don't know when that is, I will give a tour to our paid subscribers of not just the writing office, but also I have the man skiff and goat locker. So I will give you a tour of that. That being said, first, a little administration. Oh, Jacob, you have something you'd like to say?
Let me just say I have an analysis of what Wajeeh is trying to signal here. He's trying to signal that what is going on is about as useful as the beautiful deal where Donald Trump surrendered Afghanistan to the Taliban.
Afghanistan.
That is the subtle message of Wajeeh's.
I love
Crazy.
it. Yeah.
That isn't even subtle, baby. That's pretty in your face. Jacob, I think you missed the pahul wars. You weren't on one day when I had the woodland camouflage pahul that I got from a jihadi in Jalalabad who actually swapped with me, and he spoke Arabic, and he goes, "Now you look like a jihadi," which is chapters 20-something in my book, Thinker, Sailor, Black Man Spy, my memoir of an intelligence warrior. That being said, let's first, before we go any further, we're just a couple of hundred people away from 1,000. We generally start the briefing around 1,000. And it is to get some good lighthearted humor in there. But first, I'd like to do some administration. If you see that little heart down at the bottom, you need to poke that 10 or 20 times. I'm doing it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And that tells the algorithm that this podcast is beloved, but also is active and valuable. And that changes the algorithm. We all know that algorithms guide our lives right now, right? SEO, how it ranks on certain things. Really depends on the input of the users. And I know I have been reading your comments later in the day, sometimes 2 days later. And I know you guys have become a community. I mean, this is like a morning coffee clutch, right? Or as they say in Greenland, a coffee mix. And you know the rules of a coffee mix. You come in, you drink your coffee, 30 minutes, get out, go home. But not here.
And you show your cups.
And you show your cups, right. So
Your
with that,
mugs.
Jacob, let's see your mug. Hold it up to the camera. I can't read it from
That's
here.
the old CIA mug. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
bit the inscription here isn't that good, but it says, "I'm an analyst," and the guy has trouble spelling analyst, so he gives up and says spy in the end.
I have that. I have that in a T-shirt, which was gifted to me from a friend who is now the director of the National Cryptologic Museums, and it says "I.R. Cryptargist, I.R. Cryptologist," and it's crossed out. It goes, "I break codes." So awesome. Wajeeh, what's yours? Are you still on those Italian mugs?
I need to buy new cups just to compete with you guys.
You need to up your game. You need to get like, an F Ice Minneapolis cup, right? Or something along that line. And of course, because I am back up in Le Grand Nord, I showed you my Canadian cup. I'm taking my espressos, double espressos, short and hot today, man. I mean, I'm not taking them in a full mug. I don't complete them. They get cold. So now I have this little insulated aluminum cup, which I usually carry on my trips. And I'm having it raw. Thank you, coffee. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get through the madness that is the U.S.-Iran war. Well, let's go through the briefing. Wajeeh.
I have to make a comment.
You have to make a comment.
For a spy, you live as comfy as 007.
That's not true at all. Okay. Short aside. I don't have it here at my fingertips. One of these days, I will have a paid subscribers discussion about my upcoming memoir, Thinker, Sailor, Black Man Spy, Codebreaker, Patriot, Widower, I, which is the subtitle. And we are going to have a talk about James Bond. Because I wrote an entire 1,000-word essay about how a good friend of mine is a woman by the name of Helen Fry, Dr. Helen Fry. She is an expert and authority on the special women in the Special Operations Executive and Latimer House, which I've been to outside of London. And I do look good in a tux. You should see me in my Navy tuxedo. But somebody made a comment. But Latimer House was a place they brought all the German high-ranking officers who wouldn't talk, and they put them there in luxury in this beautiful manor house. But the entire complex, all those outhouses, the structure, the hotel, the bar, everything in it was wired for listening everywhere. There were no corners in that house. Many of the bugs still remain. The wiring's all there. But the intelligence officers who worked at Latimer House included one Lieutenant Ian Fleming. And Ian Fleming would hang out at night with the people who were monitoring all the German officers after they put them back into their little bungalows where they would still had monitoring teams. And they would hang out in the sidebar at Latimer House, which is a beautiful bar. I mean, it's a nice bar. Lounges, chairs, it's just like it was back in the day. But the drink of the intelligence officers at Latimer House was not a vodka martini shaken and not stirred. It was pink gin and tonics. And I've come to love pink gin, either the grapefruit type that comes from Italy, but there is a flowered one that's done at Fortnum and Mason in London. And if you guys go up to I think it's the 5th or 6th floor at Fortnum and Mason, that's where they have the big Rube Goldberg machine that makes pink gin, and it's all glass tubes. It's giant. It goes all the way around the floor, and it pops out, bloop, 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 pink gin, right? That was the spy's preferred gin. It was also a sub-annex of the Office of Naval Intelligence, which is Ian Fleming worked for Naval Intelligence. If you recall, the character James Bond was a seconded Navy lieutenant commander sent over to MI6, British Secret Intelligence. And as you know, in Britain, you keep your title, right? So as I was sitting there drinking this pink gin, I had an epiphany, and I wrote it down in one of my. I may even have I published that in my Substack? I'll have to check. But I wrote it down, and it was Ian Fleming wrote the character of James Bond as a satire. It was never intended to be a real serious stuff, because literally everything about James Bond is the opposite of how it is in the intelligence community, right? I mean, it was just the literal mirror opposite. And I could almost see him sitting there drinking gin tonics, go, hey, listen, I'm gonna make up this character, right? We're all a bunch of fat schlubs, okay? We're sitting here breaking codes and tapping Germans, and Ian Fleming was also involved, and the man who did the Operation Mincemeat, the officer who wasn't real, floating a dead body out with plans on the invasion of Sicily. He was deeply involved in that. So that being said, James Bond is a mockery of actual intelligence, and people just took the books really seriously. And Ian Fleming has never copped to this. But if you read his books, right, you know, I don't know about you. I mountain climbed for a long time, right? So there's this joke in the climbing community, right? Why do we talk about, sex and climbing gear all of the time, right? Because we can't get as much as we need, right? It just never get as much as you need. James Bond the same way, right? These guys are all sitting around Latimer House, popping down pink gin and tonics every evening. Every evening. All the intelligence officers sitting in there, and they're just like, vodka martini, who the hell can afford that shit, And then somebody goes, yeah, say that you're going to shake it, not stir it, so that you can make it a bunch of crap. And then, but don't let on that vodka martinis are what we actually drink. And we never get any women, so we're going to make this guy a total lech. So James Bond gets it everywhere. First woman he meets is called Pussy Galore. And you can I can see them all making jokes, and he's writing this shit down furiously, like, yeah, this guy, and he can only drive an Aston Martin. I'm driving in a freaking, a Holborn or some cheesy ancient car, or a beat down, Land. I've never seen James Bond drive a Land Rover Defender or Series, and I own those. I collect those classic Land Rovers. Not James Bond, baby. Aston Martins for that guy, right? And he's just like, let's give him the shittiest pistol we can think of. Instead of a 1911, they give him a freaking Walther PPK, which is like 3.0. I get it. It's a sub-caliber 9mm. Oh my God. James Bond is a caricature of the actual intelligence world, and I think it's awesome that people think it's real. Because, I get all these guys who, I get a lot of critics on the right wing and from Russia. And they're like, you are no James Bond. It's like, that's right, bitch.
Yeah, that's right. I
No,
am James
Jacob,
Bond.
Jacob, what is your drink of choice? Jacob, hold it. We should save this for a subscriber Substack where we can actually talk in private, right?
Drinks
I'll
of
say right
choice.
now, it ain't a vodka martini. Jesus Christ. All right, with that, watch it. Look how you took us off. You took us offline. So, James goddamn Bond.
Let's go,
never
gentlemen.
changes his cover name. You know what? And here's the worst part. We find out in Skyfall, his cover name's his real name. You mean you've been real naming it forever? Okay, enough. We will schedule that Substack live on a Friday where we all have drinks. Okay, Wajeeh, give us casualties and oil, please. Oil.
Iran, we are at 3,375. Between that or 7,650 killed and 26,500. The reason there is a big gap between those two numbers, the estimate, is because we're still pulling bodies out of the rebels, and we don't have an accurate number. We have an estimation at the moment. Israel has 41 dead and 7,000 7,740 people injured, and then
41.
Lebanon.
Wait. That's a big jump. That they must be including military casualties in that because it was the civilian casualties for a very long time was hovering around 26, 27 after the Haifa bombing where they had 4 people killed. So I bet you they're including military in that. Okay, that works.
Lebanon, we have 2,089 people killed and 6,762 people injured. United States still stuck at 15 and 536 injured. UAE, you have 13 killed, 224 injured. Kuwait, 10 killed, 109 injured. You have 46 killed and 178 injured, and that's what we have for now. Regarding that, then we move
Mhm.
to oil. Unless you have want to comment on any of that.
No, that's we're going to see those casualty counts rise as Israel just keeps ignoring the fact that they're tied to the ceasefire. Okay, oil, and it's down significantly.
Yeah, it's down 91.5. You mentioned earlier today. You might want to comment on that again
I'll
because
comment on it about why.
yeah,
Go on, just read the numbers. Give us the numbers.
91.5 for WTI, 95.6 for Brent crude. So for the first time, Brent crude is higher than WTI for a minute.
Again.
Marban, yeah, Marban is 101.7.
Well, the WTI dropped $14 over the weekend, just since Easter, and now we're going to talk about that. Um, okay, let's go to significant activities since we have no spectacular penetrations to think of. Thank you, Jacob, for putting that all in our head. The significant activity of the day is this interview done with Donald Trump with Fox News. And I have to take my headphones off real quick because for you to hear the audio, because I accidentally left my ear pods in. So you can hear what has impacted oil. We have this discussion all the time about the timed announcements related to market manipulation. And I'm really a true believer in this. And I think when this is all over and done with, a new Congress comes in, you're going to see that the White House was manipulating the oil market to make money for their friends. There's a guy, I read a report yesterday, who has shorted the oil market 11 times within hours or minutes of an announcement by the president, right?
Wow.
Somebody who is clearly on the inside and has hit 11 out of 11 times. So that means that somebody is making bank and everyone wants to know who that person is. So Donald Trump yesterday did an interview with Maria Bartiromo. I accidentally watched it live because I was looking for Al Jazeera and this popped up. And according to Donald Trump, the war is
I
over.
saw that. I saw that.
Okay, listen up.
I had to divert because if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you would be calling everybody over there, sir. And you don't want to do that.
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over. Yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
Okay, I watched the post interview by Maria Bartiromo, and she walked out of there and said, Trump announced the war is over. And I thought, but I heard his words, which were it's close to over, but we could go right back in there again. But now in the right-wing blogosphere on the Twitter or the X, however you want to call it, the single X, they're saying the war's over. I mean, I know we will see how it penetrates into the regular media, but did you guys hear the war was over?
It penetrates spectacularly, I will tell you. It's
Yes. 30 minutes later.
I set myself up for that one.
The head of the IDF military came out 30 minutes later and said, there's a lot more to do. We're not done yet.
The
30
IDF,
minutes
well,
later.
the IDF considers Lebanon as not over. Oh, by the way, we'll get on.
He was talking about Iran. He said Iran is not over. We're not done with Iran.
Oh, the IDF, yeah. Well, good luck with that there, buddy. In other news, I'm sorry, did you guys, that was your commentary on the war being over?
Let me just say, still, regardless of what Trump is trying to dupe into the media, these negotiations, and I suspect there's another round going to take place. It seems like it. But
You are right.
the thing is, the Iranian positions won't have changed. I mean, they feel they hold on to as many chips as they did 4 days ago. And this blockade of the blockade hasn't changed anything substantially for them. So all these issues that Trump is claiming that he has helped straighten out is just fantasy and just outright lies that he's putting out there. So what will happen during those negotiations? Because they're not going to hold Iran down to zero enrichment. And this whole crazy idea that if Iran has any enrichment capability, it leads to a nuke, and that's because that's Trump's claim. That's utter nonsense. And Lebanon, they're not going to compromise on Lebanon. Reparations, you see the Strait of Hormuz, that's not going to be that they're not going to budge on that either. So yeah.
I definitely agree with you. If the United States walk in there feeling like they have the upper hand like they did last time, then we're not going anywhere. And to go on your point, I did see a confirmation this morning that the United States said peace negotiations should happen within 48 hours. And so that's supposed to happen. Here's the thing. Because the United States has backed up on their words several times, the Iranians have already told their expectations to the Americans. Show us that we can trust you. Give us some indications that there can be trust built. But as long as you're coming in with the cowboy hat, treating the situation like you got everything under control, you're going to walk out disappointed again.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
so
all I know is that Trump also announced, my other significant activity was, I was taking notes actually on something, in that he says that the United States and Iran have, in principle, agreed to extend the ceasefire. So right now we've gone a week. We, in theory, had a week. I understand that talks are supposed to start again in Islamabad as early as tomorrow, but I don't think it'll happen tomorrow. I don't think it'll happen until Sunday, which, as you know, is the Islamic Monday, right? They start their work week on our Sunday morning. So again, or it could occur Saturday, because don't forget, they would need to clear every street in Islamabad like they did. They gave like the entire city's workforce the day off, right? So that no one would be on the streets. And not to mention those guys that were taking down signs about 4 days ago all have to jump to it and put those signs back up. So it's going to take a little logistics. Not only that, getting JD Vance back on to Air Force Two, getting the advanced team out there, the presidential communications team, and all that stuff set up. Pre-teams. So we'll see when they're going to do Islamabad. I find it funny how they outright rejected Geneva. Just like, no, we don't want Geneva, which would be better for JD Vance. But he wanted Islamabad. So somehow they seem to think that the Iranians are doing better than are they think that they can get more concessions out of the Pakistanis. When in fact, I really believe it's just that Pakistan, when they're intermediarying, are doing it like in the camel souk, right? They're lying half the time. They are just saying, oh, he agrees with everything you say, but there's this little thing. And the little thing is they won't give up any of their rich uranium. So it's methodology of negotiation, but the Iranians don't have to fly far, right? And what they don't want, and of course, they escort the Iranians in their airspace, right? So the Israelis can't shoot them down. The Israelis could definitely shoot them down on the way to Geneva. Not a joke. So
For a second, when you were describing the Pakistanis dealing with the souk, I thought you were describing me for a second, and then I had to remember.
You're always good that way. All right. Okay, we're going to now go on to blockades. I had a funny video. Here it is, by the way. Oh, I have it. So let me show you this video, which is a rendition of the negotiations between Iran and Pakistan. And it's actually excellent. It is an excellent example of what is actually happening here. And somebody made this up. There's all sorts of people who are really great at these videos. So this is supposed to be Musharraf in between Trump and Mujtaba Khamenei negotiating on the Strait of Hormuz.
History is about to be made. Sir, maybe we stop the war. Everyone is tired. I'll stop when he opens the strait. Very simple deal. Okay, 1 second. He says, open the strait.
Wait, stop. I have to show you this. So you have Putin, Xi, Keir Starmer, what's her name from Japan? This is Netanyahu, right? This is Schultz from Waltz from Germany, and look at Macron. He's having a grand old time, sitting there waving his legs. This is excellent. Okay.
He says, open the strait, then he stops the war. The strait was never closed. Under our regulation, tell him to stop the war first. Great news. The strait is open. Wonderful. Now I want the uranium. And then you stop the war? Then I think about it. Wants the enriched uranium? No. Between us, we also have nuclear. After this is done, maybe I'd share some with you. Just a little.
Just a little.
He says that must. No! Absolutely not! You heard the man! Keep them. You want the strait? Block it. I'm done.
Straight to them, and they're both closed. That is the most accurate rendition of the negotiations. Not joking. I mean, that is how that happens. And I love that part about Pakistan. You want the nukes? Maybe maybe we give you some, just a little, right? Pakistan is a nuclear power. They have nuclear weapons. Whoops. Sorry about that. I have
Oh.
to put my phone. They have atomic bombs. They may have as many as 150, but they are focused exclusively on fighting a war with India and putting an end to India. So, I've often wondered about that, but Pakistan is not a Shia Muslim country. They're a Sunni Muslim country, and their defense alliance is with Saudi Arabia. So, if Iran were ever to invade and start heading towards Mecca, the Pakistanis are supposed to send troops and use atomic bombs. That's their secret defense agreement. So that was pretty funny, but accurate. Next, let's talk about the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, the blockade is having an effect. And I'm sure many of you never thought that I would say that. It's having an effect for the wrong reasons. Iran appears to be.
Interruption, 1 second, sorry.
Is there breaking news?
About Pakistan, it does have the second largest Shia population in the world.
Oh, it does. Wow.
It does. Yeah.
Good point.
That is a good. I always forget how really big Pakistan is. What's their population? I want to say it's something like the same as Iran. It's a lot. It's like 90 million or something along that line.
The Shia alone are 40 million.
Jeez Louise. Okay, how many Pakistanis are there in total? For those of you who don't know where Pakistan came from, when India had its partition, all the Muslims who walked west became Pakistan. All the Muslims who walked east became Bangladesh. And then there's still 90 million Muslims in India out of its 1.5 billion population.
The population is 241.5 million as of 2023.
Pakistan?
Yes.
Wow. Wow, a lot bigger than I recall. 200 million. They're the size of Nigeria. They're the Nigeria of South Asia. I mean, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Okay. Wow. I did not know that. So, even though I watched a movie about the 1971 India-Pakistan War yesterday. So, the blockade is on, and it appears U.S. Central Command says that they have turned back 6 ships. Now, turned back and 6 ships is a little iffy because some of the ships that they turned back were in the Gulf of Oman as part of Iran's pre-positioned fleet of 23 ships that are sitting off of Fujairah, right? Waiting there for orders, and then those ships would go out. And here's what's going to happen. Those ships did originate in Iranian ports like months ago. And what's going to happen is buyers are now going to have to rent another tanker and come up alongside and do a ship-to-ship transfer of that oil, and that oil still gets sold. But it appears Iran is leading into the blockade, telling other ships not to go. Because what happens when that oil stops moving? Bueller? Yes, Jacob, you over there in the Denmark?
Oil prices.
Oil prices go up. Trump has this childlike impression that oil, if you cut off Iran's oil, that they go poor immediately and they have no money. He has almost a child's view of how economies work. The way that he thinks soldiers are like, you use those toy ships and you smash them together, and that's how you fight war. Look, I'm not the greatest economic analyst in the world, but I know the basics, right? He thinks I'm going to cut off Iran's oil. He's also saying he's cutting off Iran's foodstuffs, which, to be quite honest, Pakistan wouldn't have a problem with because they'll just land in Karachi, Pakistan, and now they'll have to be trucked over into Iran across from Karachi to Chabahar. Do you have that on your map, Jacob? Can you show the Pakistan border?
No, because it's right here on this side.
Let me look this up for you. So let me show you this because it's
I can
important to know
quickly.
how close these two areas are. I'm bringing it up on Google
Yeah.
Earth. Whoop.
Malcolm,
And-
if you go on, I'll find a good map.
Okay, yeah, all right. But it's important to know these countries are right next to each other. So when you say I'm cutting your fuel off, all you're going to do is give a job to truckers. And, funny we should mention that because today we found here on this map, this is what Iraq is doing. Iraq is not playing games. They can't get their oil out through the Gulf. That line, that black line you're looking at is not an oil pipeline. That is the new 500 or more truck route, bringing oil by truck to the port of Tartus in Syria. And Iraq's just like, screw it. Everybody gets trucks. Now the truckers union, right, the Teamsters, get to make a whole bunch of money. The Iraqis are moving 700,000 barrels of oil this way, right? Now, granted, that might take 2 or 3 days, but an oil tanker would take one. One oil tanker could carry all of that, could carry 2, 3 times that amount. But Iraq is also taking advantage of these high prices. Every one of those barrels of oil is not going to be sold at the WTI price. It's physical. It's going to be sold at $120, $140, $150 a barrel. They have brought up a tanker, right, to take all of that oil. The tanker offloaded benzene and is now taking on that oil. People are looking
Here
for
you go.
bypasses. There you go. Show it to us, Jake.
Here you go. You got the Karachi down here. You got the border here, Iran here. You have port here in
That's Bandar
Iran.
Jask. Where's Chabahar?
Yeah.
Chabahar's like
Chaba.
right next to the border, right?
Yeah.
It's on the coast, right next to the border.
It's yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
And Karachi to Chabahar is nothing.
No.
So food's going to come in. Food's going to come in.
Yeah.
It's going to be more expensive. But Trump actually thinks he's starving these people. He forgets that let's count all the countries around there. I'm looking. Pakistan, Afghanistan. Is it Turkmenistan to the north?
Same. Yeah. Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, and Turkey, and Iraq.
Turkey. Yeah.
You're not going to starve them for food.
No.
And Trump thinks that he said that. I could hurt their economy. He said that in the further part of the video. They don't have any money. They don't have any. He really thinks that. Oh, it's just baby talk. It's just like a 5 and dime.
It's baby.
Like a goddamn 5-year-old. All right. That being said, so Iran is complying with the blockade. Yes, Wajeeh.
There is a huge misconception that if we decimate the economy, the Iranian economy militarily, then there would be a fall of the regime and the people will uprise. The only thing in that issue that we didn't measure is that as long as it's a military intervention from the outside, it is very hard for the people who are inside, who are even against the government, to sympathize with the attackers as long as we're killing innocent civilians. So we are not making Iranians wanting to break down their government. We're making more Iranians pro-Iran and pro-fighting the United States back. The other thing is that Iran is considered to be the breadbasket of the Middle East. So you're not actually going to get them hungry because even without the borders that they have with Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and they have the borders with Turkey. These are all countries that have a lot of sheep, they have a lot of goats, they have a lot of horses, they have a lot of stuff for farming. They already have the equipment, so they have amazing relationship with Iran. So like, I don't, I, we're not playing this game right.
No, because there's morons at the wheel. I mean, drunk monkeys with machine guns dancing, in circles, shooting everything, think that, oh, if I shoot louder in the air and I dance faster in a circle, their economy will collapse. I mean, it's just stupidity. And you can't make these people are the decision makers that 77 million Americans voted for thinking they were smart. Absolutely ludicrous. Okay,
And
let's move
plus,
on.
let me just
Yeah.
add a thing here. If we then accept Trump's hypothesis, even though it's crazy, if the regime really came under pressure from the blockade and everything else, what would happen? They would escalate. They
Yep.
would escalate in Yemen. They would escalate in Bab el Mandeb. They would escalate against Yanbu, etc., etc.
Yep.
So unless there is a deal to be had, we're going to see this escalatory scenario,
No, we
no,
won't,
but
because Trump
Trump,
says the war is over, well, close to over as far as he's concerned. He's viewed this as an off-ramp, and I really think, and this is ridiculous to even consider it, he thinks that this blockade, okay,
yeah,
is his off-ramp and that he's doing something really muscular and tough to make the Iranians break at the table. And the Iranians are going to let him think that. Okay, and there's a reason for that. First off, let me continue on. One ship that was turned back was called that came out was called the Sea Champion. The reason it wasn't turned back is even though it went to Bandar Abbas, it was offload Canadian and other foodstuffs that were purchased humanitarian aid. It did not onload anything. It's empty and it's a bulk carrier. Insurance companies are clearly not complying. They don't think that the Strait of Hormuz is open at all. And they're not going to insure those damn ships. So nothing is moving through the Strait of Hormuz. And I see these right-wing pro-Trump MAGA bloggers like the Strait of Hormuz is open. Hundreds of ships are moving. And we're like, the fuck planet are you living on? I mean, hard reality, empirical things you can see with your eyes don't matter to them. These people, that's why it's a cult. I mean, a cult. And intelligence professionals like ourselves laugh at people like that. The problem is those people vote. Next, the Rich Starry, the ship that went out the other day, it's starting to look like they faked their AIS. Right? That's their automatic information system that showed that they were off Al Quwain and not in Iran, even though there was satellite imagery of it in Iran, and it transited out. Finally, Red Sea crude loadings. I have a picture of this. This is from Sal Mercogliano. Red Sea crude loadings are at an all-time high, right? April 25, May, September, October, November, December, January, March, and April. May's just started, all right? It's going to get nuts. Red Sea crude loadings. That red one there is Saudi Arabia, obviously. And others, Oman, Somalia, anyone that ain't them is getting paid, right? 4.5 million barrels a day. The Saudis say that they've got 7 million going through that pipeline now. So this, of course, takes up the scaling up to that. Next month, it'll be up here way above the top of the TV. But people who are loading in the Red Sea are making moolah. And the problem with that is the bugaboo, Iran's trump card, the one that is holding the Saudis, the Gulf states, everyone over a barrel. And that is the behavior of the Houthis, who now have to be dealt with. Wajeeh, was it you who said that the Saudis bribed the Houthis?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what about it? How much do you think they'd have to bribe them to play nice?
So the Saudis have been at war with the Houthis for more than 10 years, and they got their ass kicked. So they ended up having to grab them and have them all come to Riyadh, and they got really good money to go to Riyadh,
Money,
and have some, and
money.
to have
I'm
some
your
to have
Houthi.
some peace negotiations.
Pay us,
But
baby. Pay it
and
out.
if they got more money, they would spend that on more weapons, and they would spend that on getting ready to shut down the Bab al Mandab. But I could
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
see
it's like
Saudi Arabia to be like, "Hey, here, take $1 billion, shut up."
a
Um,
billion's not enough. A billion is
for
not a good bribe.
one person, it is. For especially if you're in Yemen, from Yemen, especially the Riyadh is not doing too good.
You know how that
But if
shit
you're
works? That's got to trickle down the tribal chain. So a
That's right.
billion's not enough because there's guys in fishing boats out there with machine guns who could paid lie to this. All right. Well, the Red Sea crude loadings are at the highest. In U.S. military news, U.S. military forces still continue to build up. The USS George Herbert Walker Bush, a ship finally named for a president that did something. I mean, George Herbert Walker Bush was a World War II pilot. He took part in the battles in the Pacific, was shot down, took part in helping stand watches on the submarine that rescued him, and then went back to it. Director of the CIA, all of that. I miss the George H.W. Bush days compared to this craziness. Uh, okay. And like we said, Iraq is moving his stuff out by trucks. Yes. What?
Malcolm, just one thing about the blockade. What I've seen some reporting. I don't know whether it's confirmed, but it's definitely something we should look out for. That a number of ships have indeed transited out of the strait nearby the Iranian coast because the American Navy won't go so close to the coastline because they're basically afraid of
I have
the
said that.
Iranians striking them.
I have said that. I think I told that story 2 days ago. You might have been on your little
Okay.
hiatus about when we were taking when I met my friend Captain Jassim, who was one of the most successful oil smugglers in Iraq's history. And in one mission, he had come out of the Qasr waterway north of Bubiyan Island. They were boarded by SEALs. He turned the ship into Iranian waters, and they came over by high-speed boat. He took the ship into Iranian waters, and as they were just like a kilometer from Iranian waters, the SEALs had to jump off the side of the ship to not be caught going into Bandar Khamenei, right? We will not stay on a ship. We will not do VBSS. And I'm sure that if the Iranians want to get all dicey and spicy, they could tell these ships, turn left hard, go at full speed into our waters, and the Americans will get off your ship. And you know what? You could run Iranian waters all the way to Pakistan if you're a Pakistani ship delivering oil to Pakistan who really needs that oil. But, Trump is the kind of guy that say, oh, we're boarding the ships and we'll bring them all to Pakistan. And you can give me that 8 tankers you promised me. I mean, 8 tankers is $2 billion. And if Trump actually said, there's another thing that needs to be investigated. If he said that they actually gave him 8 tankers, then he changed it to 10. You're saying you took a $2.5 billion bribe. Is that what you're saying? All right. So, all right. Enough about this. Let's
reporting
report.
I
I
saw
fact
talked
checked my
about
claim. Go
six
for
or
it, Jacob.
7 ships until now, and it's just something we need to look out for.
Yeah, they said they've been turned around. Okay,
You asked me how
Iran.
much Saudi Arabia pays an Houthi in bribes. Last time they did pay an Houthi in bribe, it was a max of 2.5 billion. So I was kind of close.
Halas, situation different. Much more now. We no problem. Make it, I don't know, the equivalent of 20 tankers. That's what?
fine. Okay, that
10
makes
billion.
sense.
10 billion. Halas. Easy price. My friend, we build new housing for poor peoples.
Think
Well,
of
the
this.
argument is going
Halas,
to be
think of this.
150 billion because they're measuring their damages at 250
No,
billion
that's
from Saudi
Iran. I'm
Arabia.
talking about Yemen. All right.
Yeah, Yemen.
Every
Yemen's
new house needs.
measuring their damages at $250 billion, and
Yes,
they're wanting
Halas, you
250
give us this
billion.
money. Don't think of this as payment. Halas, think of this as zakat. Okay, charity. Charity. 10 billion will get you. You will sit at the right hand of the Prophet. Halas.
You'll go to heaven, inshallah, straight away.
Inshallah, we are rebuilding only community goat markets.
Yes.
We'll
I've
send you
lived
food
there.
sent to us.
I've lived there too long. Okay. So anyway, back to important things. Iran is not wasting time. They are digging out their ballistic missile launch centers. And we have satellite imagery of these launch centers both before and after. Here are the doorways that are clean before, and then this is after. This is a site that's been hit. They actually collapsed dirt on top of it, but the passageways are open, and these are trucks. And what's inside there? Excavators. It's Bob the Builder time in Iran. And we have several images of these sites, of multiple missile sites. Here's another one that's before. This is mainly showing the trucks, the number of trucks that are coming in and out of these facilities. And that means they're moving dirt. And when they move dirt, they're going to pile it off to the side. And that means the launch tubes are being dug out, will be cleaned. They'll do an inventory of their missiles. And these guys ain't stupid. They'll have those kids with the mobile phones hanging out up in the sky like the Ukrainians did, like the Somalis did, and they will be waiting for the Israelis to show up again next time. This time, they're going to launch those missiles first. Okay?
Yeah.
They ain't playing games. Okay.
I
That's
said it
it.
before.
What did you
The
say?
Iranians' bunkers are 50 meters underground on average and have the concrete reinforced to withstand 50,000 psi. Your average B-2 bomber bunker buster that could go the deepest cannot go more than 60 meters at a time. So that's why if they want to get to it, they have to throw maybe 10 of those. Actually, 10, yeah. They have to throw 10 of those to reach all the way to the 500
because
meters.
Yazid Mountain is 500 meters, but it's 500 meters under the mountain, and it's
Yes.
deeper in the sub caverns, like the missile loading facility, things like that.
So
Okay.
everything is protected under there, and it's very easy to excavate it. Otherwise, we would have seen an explosion. Thank you.
Yeah. So I was monitoring the questions. My assistant, who was taking questions, is not with us this morning. We answered most of those questions. So I want you to do some admin. I want you to punch those hearts right now again. Give them 10 or 15 punches. Then if this is your first time or you haven't done it before, that little rondelle up top that says Black Man Spy, touch it. And the subscription boxes will come up from the bottom. Please subscribe to Wajeeh. Please subscribe to Jacob. They need your followers. Wajeeh does a lot of written analysis. I try to do 2 to 3 written analysis per week. He does 2 to 3 per day. And I try to keep them aligned to very specific things, but in the perspective of this war. And I also want to thank you for the fact that we are now number 9 of all of all Substacks on world politics. So it's good. I find it horrible that some of my heroes out there that I've blown by them. Same thing with U.S. politics, but we're giving you the content that you need. This is the intelligence you need, and you don't need to watch TV or doom scroll for the next day. You're clear. Go out, wake up, smell the coffee. I'm going to get in a big old run today. And, after I do, if anybody wants to hear more, I am on Sirius XM satellite or WCPT 820 Chicago. I will be on the Stephanie Miller Radio Show in exactly 30 minutes. So, and that's all I do is shout when I'm on that channel. They think up questions to make me mad, and they make me shout all the time. So, okay, if you're watching this on YouTube, you have already missed the live show, which is on Substack. So come to malcolmnance.substack.com and watch it live every morning at 9 a.m. until we can take a vacation from all of this. But we don't know. We will see. Jacob Kaarsbo, thank you for coming. Wajeeh the Lion, thank you for coming. We will see you all tomorrow. Take care.
Thank you. You have a good one. See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Bye-bye.